Could this be the future of computing? A web-based operating system. This is pewter.com, and it's a little operating system that's got a whole bunch of apps that run in the browser so that you can have up-to-date programs and not have to worry about the operating system underneath. This little laptop has Windows 8.1 on, which is out of date basically. Still works, runs quite nicely with a small amount of memory. But if I want to use some more modern apps and other software, then this program, pewter.com, runs on a web browser and gives me a bunch of different applications like PDF and various games and various applications here that I can use without having to worry about the actual machine and what's installed on this laptop. Let's have a look at some of the other options that are available. I can move this over. As you can see, this is the same machine, and we'll move over to that one. I'll bring up Task Manager so you can see how much CPU usage and how much memory usage is being used at the moment. So at the moment I'm not really doing anything, and low CPU usage, it's only using 1 GB of RAM. And if I close this down, we go down to 0.7, 0.6 gigabytes in use. So I'll open that back up and we'll go back to that web address. I'll just leave this over here so we can see what's going on. And we can, if we want, we can make this full screen, and then it's like we're in the actual operating system. We can press this here and go completely full screen, and it's as though the Windows 8.1 operating system isn't really there. And you can actually sign into pewter.com so that when you sign in, you have the exact same files and applications, and it remembers where you were last time so that it kind of can stay there. And there's a free plan, and you can pay for a paid plan, and you've got quick access to sort of your files. You've got documents and pictures, etc. There's an app center, there's a dev center, there's notepad, there's coding, there's a camera and recorder, and you've also got a recycle bin. So if I go into here, create a document, you can right click as well. It's a little bit slow. This is a slow laptop, and you do get better performance on quicker machines. So I'll just create a text document. So I'll create a text document, call it something, and I can open this up in Notepad and start typing. And then you save that, and it should save to our local area. And then, you can drag and drop this into the trash can, go into the trash, and you could restore it if you want, put it back on the desktop, or restore it back to its original location. But this is not the only web-based operating system. There are plenty of others. So let's have a look what else we've got. There's Dustin Brett. He's made an interesting one, and you can check out his YouTube channel for a demo and the story behind it. This one's a little bit more demanding because it's got some really cool wallpapers built in that are basically animated. Let me move this out of the way so you can see what's going on. The time on this system is wrong. You've got a bunch of emulators, Boxed Wine, Emulator JS, JS DOS, Ruffle, TIC80, Virtual86, and games. And there's a Commander Keen 4 and Quake 3 Arena. So obviously we're going to give that a try. But I've also got terminals in these browsers. So you can run various things like NeoFetch. That tells you what's going on here. And then the same in Pewter. If we go to terminal, wait a little while for this to appear. This one does seem a little bit slower, but we are using a free account, so that could be why. But you'll notice that the memory usage is still low. And let's have a look, we've got a PDF photo viewer. This web-based operating system has a public area, but it's also got all of Dustin Brett's sort of photos and videos and things on here. So it's like you're using his desktop. So let's try Quake 3 Arena. You'll notice it's at 100% CPU, and you're going to get better performance from a better system. This laptop has 2 GB of RAM, has a dual core processor, and not much local storage, so it is a slow computer. But I've got this at 640 by 480. I'll turn the sound down. I wonder if we can do multiplayer. Doesn't look like it. But here you can see we're playing Quake 3 Arena in the web OS. So I'll close that. And you can right click and change the different backgrounds. And it's got a whole heap of interesting backgrounds that are quite fun to look at. But they tend to add to the demand on the actual machine. And it does take a while for some of these to load. They've also got Doom on here, so this is using JS DOS. Might need to wait a while for this to load. We've even got the music, but it is struggling. I'll just check this background and put it back to a wallpaper, picture wallpaper. Okay, that was struggling a little bit there. So let's close this, try another one. There is also Prozilla. I'll close down pewter.com and let's have a look at Prozilla. So this is Prozilla, and you can right click and enter full screen to have the full desktop experience. And this has a relatively short list of applications you can use. but it's quite quick when it does show up. And also we can run NeoFetch. And it's got a browser, so we could go to a website, and let's just skip this and see if we can go to YouTube. Doesn't seem to like that idea. So let's try YouTube in the other web-based operating system. So we've gone back to Pewter here. There's lots of games in this, but I'm not seeing a browser. So you can create an account so that it will save your information. Let's try a search. So we've gone to Dustin Brett. There doesn't seem to be an easy way. Oh, we're full screen. Ignore that. So let's open the browser. Let's see if we can go to YouTube. No. It doesn't like to let us connect through one of these web-based operating systems, but that's all right. That doesn't matter too much. And the other thing that you can do with web-based operating systems is try something completely different. So for example, webos.js.org has a whole bunch of different operating systems that you can run, such as Mac OS. That was quick. Windows XP. So you can play around with different operating systems without actually having to install anything. Let's see if we can get onto YouTube on any of these. This doesn't look like a functioning browser. And this is Ubuntu. No. And the neat thing about this is you'll notice that I'm running, sort of running or using or looking at multiple different operating systems in a browser They've all got varying levels of functionality. For example, not much is happening when I click some of these things. But you can make them full screen and it looks like you've got a Mac. And you can go to Windows XP or Ubuntu and other operating systems. But you'll notice that the memory usage is still quite low. Processor usage is still quite low. And you can play around with these different operating systems. I think this is probably my favorite in terms of look and feel. Let's try that. I'm wondering if this will actually do anything. Notepad, Paint. Doesn't look like the Paint's going to load. So in terms of using these web-based operating systems, it's really Pewter and Prozilla that are designed to be actually used, and you can save files and things like that with an account, whereas these other ones are more of a demo really of different operating systems. Ooh, Windows 98. And the nice thing is that you can find all sorts of interesting things without having to install the different operating systems. There's quite a lot on here on this Windows 98 version. And it's all just built into the browser. So that is really quite neat. Definitely worth having a look at some of these things. So this is webos.js.org. And it's not just modern operating systems. There's old operating systems like Atari ST or Amiga operating systems that you can use in a browser. But this one does. Let's have a look. So this is the more modern operating system on the Atari with the colors. Oh, and it's got discs. Wow. Okay, I think we've gone a bit off tangent, perhaps. I've gone back to Windows 98. I've found that Microsoft Paint works. So I can use that. And Winamp does something interesting. With the visualization effects. Let's try the but we've got no visualization with this one. Windows 98 start button doesn't really do much, but Windows XP start button, you get the menu and all of the different things, but then when you go to open them, you don't actually get the application unless it's there. So I think Notepad is here, yeah, and I think the main applications that you get are on the desktop. So you can't use Windows Movie Maker, unfortunately. But it's nice to sort of have a look around, see what there is or was in Windows XP without having to install it or bother with your own sort of virtual machines. And again, the memory usage is really low. Another thing to look at is infinitemac.org. It's got what looks like a whole history of different operating systems that you can have a look at. And let's have a look at Next. This is so cool. Anything I think you can think of, you'll find it in a web browser. This took a long time to get to this point, and I've actually gone for NEXTStep version 2. There's some little things here like full screen. I've got a mouse, I've got the icons on the side. I've moved the CPU monitor to over here. I don't know why. Struggling to move the mouse where I want it to go. Oh, okay, it's better now, but wow. Quite interesting, isn't it? Let's quit this. And not sure how to get out of full screen mode. Press and hold escape to exit full screen. And my mouse is stuck in the window. Okay, it's escaped, sort of. But what else have we got? We can go and run Mac OS 9.0, Mac OS X10. This is really cool. So you can run probably any operating system you want in a web browser. And think of a system and try it out. This is cool. I guess the older the system, the easier an older system like this little laptop will run. Cool. So there we go. We spent a lot of time looking at different operating systems, starting with modern web-based operating systems that are designed to be used and seem like quite a good idea. If you regularly move around and maybe use other people's machines, they could be really useful. And then we ended up with different emulator-based web operating systems. So we can try old versions of Mac OS, even NEXTStep, and up to more modern operating systems, Mac OS 10. And yeah, it's really interesting the different options there are. In fact, there's even more here as well. So let's have a look at next. So there's lots to look at basically, and definitely a lot of fun. But have a look for yourself, see what you find, and just have a play. It's not going to do or shouldn't do any harm to your system. And then you can go back to whatever you want. So thanks for watching, and see you in another video.